everyone, today I want to introduce with you guys about Hoa Lo Prison, one of the most visited websites when you come to Vietnam, come to Hanoi. So but before we take a look into Hoa Lo Prison, I want to talk a little bit about French colonization and invasion of Vietnam. So when France invaded our country, Nguyễn Dynasty were ruling Vietnam, and before the Nguyen Dynasty was founded, Nguyễn Ánh gained some support from French to defeat the Tây Sơn Dynasty and founded the Nguyễn Dynasty, right? When Nguyễn Ánh became the king, he felt indebted to the French, to the Westerner, and therefore they give them the permission to come to Vietnam to do business and spread Catholicism here. But when the second king, Minh Mạng, Minh Mạng took the power, he felt that he was not indebted to the French, the Westerner, and he implemented some brutal policy. He deported the Westerner and executed a lot of Catholics. So why the French invaded Vietnam? So the decision to invade Vietnam was made by Napoleon III in July 1857, and they used the pretext of Nguyen Dynasty kill many Catholics, and they want to protect the Catholics and Catholicism. But that is just the excuse, right? There are more reasons than that. And about I will talk about the domestic background. At that time, Vietnamese feudalism was experiencing a period of decline, which was marked by the political instability, corruption, and internal unrest. So the Nguyen Dynasty struggled to maintain their control over its territory while facing a lot of peasant rising and movement. So, moreover, the foreign policy was also misguided. The isolationism policy further weakened our country, our state by limiting economic development and leaving Vietnam vulnerable to the external threat. So also at that time, thanks to the industrial revolution, scientific revolution, the Western country, they develop and grow rapidly, and this revolution laid the foundation for the Western development, right? So with this development, the French they have a strong need for cheap labor, for raw material, and overseas markets. So they started to invade other parts of the world like Africa and Latin America, and also Vietnam was considered an ideal target because its strategic location on the Indochina Peninsula, and in addition, Vietnam was rich in natural resources and had a cheap labor force, which made it very attractive for economic exploitation. So on 1858, the French fired the first shot at the Sơn Trà Peninsula in Da Nang. So it is like a signal to open a period of colonial rule, a colonial period in Vietnam. So in 1859, they moved to Saigon and quickly captured it. After that, in 1867, they had taken all the south of Vietnam and called it Cochin China. In 1873, they tried to invade the north, but they failed in the first time, but they didn't give up. In 1882, they expanded its invasion to the north again, and the whole country was under the protection of French in 1883. So next I want to talk about the history and the function of Hoa Lo Prison. This prison is built by the French at the end of 19th century to capture Vietnamese patriots, scholars who opposed to the French domination. So it is and at first it was named Central Prison, and actually the building process was not completed, but in 1899 the French had to use it immediately because they wanted to capture people fighting against them. And many years later, the prison was regularly renovated, repaired, and in 1945, the French raised a wall surrounding the prison, and the wall was equipped with high voltage security system and many freshmen broken glasses to prevent prisoners from escaping. Moreover, there are also 4 watch towers placed at 4 corners of the prison, so that the prison guardian could monitor every single action of the prisoners. And during the French colonial period, Hoa Lo Prison is divided into 4 major zones, A, B, C, and D. Zone A and B are for those who are under the investigation and violating the prison discipline, and Zone C is for the French and foreign prisoners. Zone D is for prisoners under the death penalty. Hoa Lo Prison complex encompasses more than 12,000 square meters with the main structures including a bathhouse, a medical house, an iron and textile making house, and several houses for arrested prisoners. However, today it is only about 2,500 square meters of its original complex. So what is the mission, and why did the French build this prison? So the prison in our modern society is it has like holy mission, right? It is built to educate people and keep our society stable and safe. But the mission of Hoa Lo Prison is different. It is built by the French to reinforce their rule, their domination in Vietnam, and this helped a lot of Vietnamese patriots, intellectuals, and Confucian scholars who opposed the colonial domination, as I mentioned before, and many of them were subjected to severe torture and execution. And in October 1954, after the North of Vietnam gained independence, the Vietnam government used Hoa Lo Prison to like temporarily imprison regular prisons, and this at the time this prison was named Hanoi Prisoners Detention Center, and in 1993 the Vietnam government decided to divide Hoa Lo Prison into two parts. A part was used to build the, the tower center as a hotel and office, and the rest part was preserved and embellished as the memorial area. So, why was Hoa Lo Prison built in Hanoi? The reason is that the Vietnamese people has a strong tradition of patriotism and a strong deep love for their nation, their country, and so that when the French came here and dominated our country, many uprising and movement is emerged, like the movement by Phan Bội Châu, Phan Đình Phùng, Hoàng Hoa Thám, and the French wanted to crush this effort, to crush the movement. So that's they built the Hoa Lo Prison right in the center of Hanoi because they want everyone to see the prison, to be scared, feel afraid, and therefore they couldn't dare to speak out. And another reason is that the prison was also close to the colonial coast, so that it would be much easier for the colonial government to put patriots on trial and execute them quickly. So, are you curious how were the political prisoners treated in Hoa Lo Prison? So, as far as I know, they live in suffocating and poor sanitary condition. Every year, they were provided two uniforms and one blanket for the winter, and due to the poor quality condition and the poor quality food, many of them contracted disease such as typhoid, dysentery, malaria, or they even unable to cope with some illnesses, and many prisoners died before the prison terms expires. And in addition, they were forced to do hard labor such as repairing houses or roads, building dyes, cleaning toilets, chop wood for cooking fires, and if they couldn't finish their work, they got no food, they were starved. And the French colonialist soldier and colonists also use many different types of torture, punishment to torture our soldier, our patriots, including the leg shackle, auto beatings, and electric shock devices. But despite all of that, our prisoners and our soldier, patriots, scholar continue to study revolution theories in secret. They exchange each other knowledge and keep their secrets alive. And that is some information about our prison. Thank you for listening.